Everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Sam Olukotun. I am a solutions engineer at CircleCI, and with me today is Shimon from Datree. Today, we'll be talking about how Datree and CircleCI allow you to tie your commits to issue tracker tickets. And to that effect, we'll be talking about, I'll be giving you a brief introduction to CircleCI Orbs in general. And afterwards, I'll be turning it over to Shimon, who will be talking about giving you a brief overview of Datree's product. We'll also be giving you a brief demo of how Datree and CircleCI can work together using our orbs. And after that, we'll be turning it over for a brief session of questions, just to answer whatever questions you might have during the session. And just as a brief, just 2 notes of administrative details here. Firstly, this webinar is being recorded. So if there are any details you missed during the presentation, or if there are any slides you feel that we go past through too quickly, the material will be available for you afterwards, so you can go back and revisit it. Additionally, as we go through the presentation, if you have any questions, you see at the bottom of your panel, of your Zoom window, there's a Q&A button in the bottom panel. You can click that button and use that to submit your questions. And at the end of the presentation, we'll go through the questions that have been submitted and answer those for you as well. So diving right in, we'll start on the next slide, where we'll be talking about orbs. So for those who are not familiar with CircleCI, to use CircleCI as your CI/CD platform, you need to have a piece of configuration in each of your project code repository. That file is just a config.yaml file. And part of the benefit of being able to do your configuration in a file, in a config file, is that you can actually manage everything in the same repository that your source code lives in. Now, some of the downsides of that is that as you start to use multiple projects that are integrating with the same services, you might see your team starts to copy and paste pieces of configuration code across multiple projects. And that's where orbs come in. You can think of orbs as essentially just a modular piece of CircleCI configuration that you can package and share with members of your team. So if we look at the next slide, we'll be saying that an orb, just like every other piece of CircleCI config, has things like commands in there, it has executors and jobs. And the executors in general are just the environment, the execution environment within which you want your commands to run. And the jobs themselves are just a group of commands that you want to run within that environment. So this example, this slide is really just showing you that just like a config file, an orb has all the same pieces of it. An orb tends to be more parameterized because you want to give your teams options to tweak things to match their specific use cases. But in general, the orb is just a config file that you can package and share with your team. On the next slide, you'll see that we have actually partnered with several technology partners. And since we've been doing this for a while, our technology and developer community has actually grown quite a bit. So if there are any third-party integrations you need to plug into your CI/CD pipeline, it's actually very beneficial for you to just look through our orbs registry, because odds are we've probably implemented a third-party orb that allows you to integrate with that service, and you can just pull down the orb and not have to rewrite all that configuration logic for yourself anymore. Now, this slide is not showing an exhaustive list of all our technology partners or all our orbs. Today, we'll be talking with Datree, which is just one of the technology partners we work with, but we do work with a wide array of technology partners, and we've provided a lot of these orbs already available for you to tie into your services and your pipeline. And so on the next slide, I'm just showing you a few links and resources that you can visit if you want to read more about orbs. You can look into the documentations, or you can read our blog posts. Also, you can dive right in with our orb registry where we have all the orbs listed, or you can contribute orbs too. Like our orb registry is open source, so our technology partners contribute for us, CircleCI employees contribute, and we also have users who are part of the community also contributing orbs for us. And if you need to get support or need help with the orbs, you can log into our community website. You can log in through circleci.com/orbs, or you can open a ticket or also become a partner with us for building orbs. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Shimon to present to you more about Datree and how it works with CircleCI.
Thank you very much, Sam. Hi, everyone. My name is Shimon Tolts. I'm one of the co-founders of Datree. And I come with a lot of background around DevOps and infrastructure, and this is why it was natural to us to partner up with the CircleCI and to deep dive into how we integrate together. So today I will talk to you about what is Datree, what benefit can we bring. Then we'll talk about why is it important to trace commits and connect them to tickets. And next, I will show you how the orb that we actually built is working and then a full demo. I hope that the demo gods will be with us, and I will show you exactly how we can use the orb itself. So what is Datree? So Datree is a Git-based policy engine. So we allow engineering teams to automatically enforce coding standards and security policies directly on their Git workflow. So it's very easy. All you have to do is you install a GitHub application, which is like installing an app on your phone. We then scan all of your source code and we build a visibility layer on top of which you can set policies, and they can be automatically enforced for every commit and change that is being made on top of your Git environment. So let's say if someone is committing secret keys, for example, he will be blocked because you should not commit secret keys into your source code. So we work with the various different companies. We are operating on more than 6,000 repositories, and we've done more than 100,000 policy checks, and we've helped other numerous companies be safe and deliver software really fast and in an easy way by using our platform. And the way that we integrate our platform is a bit similar to how the orb today works, with only a small twist, and I'll explain. So today, a natural workflow of a developer is, opening a Jira ticket by the product team. They open up a Jira ticket, they write in what feature has to be built. Then I, as a developer, I would open up a branch, make commits, and then I would open a pull request. And then at this stage, the Datree check will automatically hook on top of the pull request and verify whether you're working according to the coding standards and security policies that you've defined for your organization. So you can check things like making sure that you don't have any secrets being committed, make sure that you have an issue ticket number assigned to the pull request, and we'll talk further about that during this webinar. Make sure that you're not using a blacklisted faulty Docker image that is not good for your environment, and more things. And once you fix all the issues, you recommit your changes, then the check runs again and allows you to merge your code into production, into master, and then you can use CircleCI in order to take it into production. So going deeper into the orb itself, the orb that we're going to talk today about is an orb that we built, and it is open source. And in the resource section that you saw, you can go and look at the code, and you're more than welcome to also contribute to it. And this orb allows you to enforce linking an issue tracker, such as Jira or Pivotal ticket, into your code changes in GitHub, for example, into your pull request. And the way it will work is that, and I will show it in the demo, once you open up a pull request, if you did not specify a ticket, it will fail, and you will then have to fix that. Now, the way this works, and there is a prerequisite to that, is, for example, if you're using Jira and GitHub, which is a very popular mix, you need to install the GitHub application, which is actually provided by GitHub, that integrates with Jira. And this way, it will link all of your changes in the code to your logical ticket within Jira. So let's say you open a ticket and to write a feature, and this feature has to be written up on top of 3 services, and you have to touch several files. So the way it will look like is as I'm presenting now, where you will go into the Jira ticket and you will see all of the related changes on the code side. So there's also a link here just called Jira GitHub integration, and you install that. So you might ask yourself, why is it so important to trace commits to tickets? So there are several benefits, and actually several requirements also to why you should do that. So the first thing is, as you saw, in order to create an audit trail. So by putting in the ticket number on your pull request title or in the branch name, you will create a logical link between your issue tracker and your source control management, in that case, GitHub. And this will allow you to have a trace and see exactly what are the changes that were made according to the business request in Jira. This will help you speed up your workflow because you will not have to go and search through numerous repositories and go over all the different changes that were made. You will just have a ticket that has an aggregated pull requests view onto everything that has been done in order to facilitate this feature. Another benefit is that this allows developers to create an automation layer on top of this convention. So by using this orb, you will make sure that all of your pull requests have the Jira ticket number, and then other automated tools can hook on top of that. One use case, for example, that our customers are doing is running automation tests, and then they are fanning in the results directly onto the Jira interface. And then the product teams and the test teams can see that inside Jira, and they don't have to go through all the build logs inside of GitHub. And last but not least is that if you are a SOC 2 compliant company or HIPAA compliant, it is a requirement to actually track your logical changes and code changes. And we have a great guide that we built onto how to apply SOC 2 on top of Git in order to be compliant in the new world. You know, nowadays when you're using so many services and the development world has changed a bit. So we wrote a guide that is specifically SOC 2 on top of Git. I saw that there was a question. I'll try to see if I want to answer it now. Hold on. Before I move on, maybe there's something unclear. Let's see. Yeah. So the question is, will it work on Jira on-prem? So as long as you have the connection, you need to open up the integration from GitHub in order to connect to it. I'm pretty sure that it is possible. You should look deeper inside the Jira and GitHub integration part, but I'm pretty sure that it's supported. So now that we understand why is it important to actually do this logical connection, so let's talk about how the orb itself works. So in order to use the orb, you have to specify which type of provider are you using, because the orb will actually check via regex whether you submitted the pattern in the right way, and different issue trackers might have different pattern. So our orb supports Jira and Pivotal issue trackers. The second thing that you have to define is what is the scope that you want to be checked. So it can be via the pull request title and or the branch name. And thirdly, the way that the orb will work is that if you want to determine whether you have a connection via the branch name, it's very easy. You don't have to do anything. But if you want to determine that via the pull request title, you will have to supply an API token for your GitHub, because when a CircleCI job runs, it does not inject as a variable the pull request title. So what we do is we take your token, from the builder in CircleCI, we query the API of GitHub and actually ask them, okay, so for this repository, this pull request number 5, what is the name? What is the title of the pull request? And then we extract this information. The way that it is done, you need to put that under the context space in your CircleCI configuration. You should not commit the secret into your Git repository. This is very, very bad, and you can use the tree in order to prevent those commits and to also scan if you have secrets currently. This is a very bad practice. And then after we configure that, your build will pass or fail whether you have a ticket or not. So if we look deeper into the code side, we will see that here we have the orb, and the orb name is Datree policy, and the version that we're using here is a bad version. It's just for demonstration. It's volatile. Volatile means that it's the latest version that is ever available on the orb system when you run it. So if we break the API, it will break your build. So you should specify a specific version. Then next, I have the description, the job, and then we're using a Node.js version 10 CircleCI builder. And the step that we are using is a pull request title convention. And the parameter that we're passing it is the issue tracker. And in this case, it is Jira. This is how it knows how it should parse the title. And next, in the workflow, we're using a context. Context in CircleCI is a place where you can define secret variables that the builder inside the job will be able to consume in a secure way. So let me show you how that looks like on the, how that looks like on the development side. So, okay, sorry, I'll just move that. So here we have CircleCI. I guess you're all familiar with that. We have our GitHub project. And this is a very simple project. It's called Datree demo CircleCI Datree. I'll actually show it to you in VS Code. So we have index.js, a very simple one that says hello world, and we have our orb configuration here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a change and open up a pull request without having an assignment of the Jira ticket. And then the build should fail. Then I will actually add the ticket, rebuild it, and then it should pass. So let's start. I'm going to do the changes from the GitHub interface because it's just easier for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to click the pencil here, and I'm going to edit our index.js file. So I'm changing hello to welcome to CircleCI and Datree webinar. I'm creating a new branch, which is like any other workflow. And then I'm creating a pull request. Now notice that I'm not specifying if it's related to any Jira ticket. And now you will see that immediately on top of my interface, I have several checks that are hooked on top of GitHub. So I have the Datree Smart policy that is failing. I have the CircleCI job that is also failing. So let's go and see what's going on. So if I look at the policy part, I'll see that I did not link a Jira ticket. And because this can either be done through the CircleCI orb, but then it has to be imported across all of your repositories, or you can do it through the Datree interface. So let's look at the CircleCI one. So going into my build, and you can just import this orb across your entire build stack. The only challenge that it brings is that, let's say you have 100 repos, how do you add this orb to 100 repos now? But that's a question by itself. So if we look at this, we will see that our build is failing. And if we look deeper, we'll see that it says that it failed because the pull request title does not mention an issue tracker. And we have documentation here, and you can read on how to fix that. So what I can do is I can go back to my pull request. And sometimes there are caching issues, so it looks like the checks are running even though they're already finished. So I'm going to edit my pull request title. And I'm going to add a ticket. So our project is DAT234, and I'm going to save it. And you'll notice that what happens now is that some of the checks are automatically retriggered. So in our case here, the policy itself already finished running. In terms of CircleCI, CircleCI does not automatically retrigger on a change in the context of the pull request. So in this case, what we will have to do is go into CircleCI go into our project, and we will rerun the build. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that this is the last one. I'm gonna run a rebuild, and now it will run again, take my token, go to GitHub, query the pull request title, and hopefully if the demo gods are with us, now it's successful. And if we look at the job, we will see that now it is passing, and it says success pull request title mention issue tracker format. And if we go back to GitHub, you will see that now automatically everything is passing. So what you can do is you can run the orb on every project that you have, and by importing it, you will make sure that everyone puts a issue number inside their ticket. So that's how it works. It's really easy. And I'll go back to my presentation. Feel free to ask if you have any questions. So just to summarize, the benefit that you get by connecting your tickets into commits is mandatory if you're a SOC 2 compliant organization, and many other certificates are also very, very fond of that and using that, either ISO or the HIPAA ones. So if you are a SOC 2 compliant organization, you should most definitely connect them, because you must have a logical connection between the two. The Datree Orb for CircleCI allows you to run those checks and to ensure that you have the ticket numbers referenced in your pull request title or branch name. You don't have to be a Datree customer in order to use this policy check. You can import this orb and use it anywhere. If you would like to implement more policies, or for example, implement this policy with one click across your entire stack, you can also do that with Datree without having to import it one by one. And finally, I'll also tell you that open source projects are also very, very keen of using this convention, and there's a link here to see that 1/3 of all open source issues that created are actually referenced to ticket numbers, because it is nearly impossible to manage software projects if you don't have the relationship between the two of them. So this is basically how our orb works, and feel free to check it out and to reach out. And if you have any questions, let me see, and I'll answer them.
Awesome. Thank you, Shimon. That's very helpful. And I also remember in my past life as a full stack developer, I remember submitting pull requests and having the engineer trying to review it, and then they're asking, well, what ticket is this work for? Like, why, like, what problem is this code trying to solve? So I feel like using Datree and CircleCI Orbs really kind of streamlines that process, where you're not going back and forth trying to figure out what unit of work the code is trying to do. And not just for issue tracking, just for general team and workflow policies in general. It's a good way to streamline that enforcement. So right now, I just have a couple questions that I'd like to ask, just something that I feel like some of our users might be curious about. Like, so like you said, like Datree checks for instance, one of the policies is if a ticket is mentioned, for instance, if we have that policy on our repo. What if I don't mention a Jira ticket? So is Datree going to stop me from merging my pull request into the master branch?
Yes, so you can also do that with the orb, by the way. So in GitHub, the way it works, you have checks, and you can specify whether the checks are required or not. And if you specify that a check is required, you will not be able to merge your pull request if this check does not pass. So if you configure, again, this is something that we can also help you with, because there's the challenge of, let's say you have 300 repos, now you have to go in the GUI and select, like, this is a required check times 300. So we also provide this automation to help you, so you can select the CircleCI Orb to be required automatically.
Excellent. Well, that's a great tool to have, because that can be a little bit of a pain point when migrating or adopting new technology. So it's great that you make that pretty easy for people to onboard and switch over. And then also, if I have the ticket name mentioned in, let's say, the branch name or the pull request title, will Datree, like, can that still let the Datree check pass? Or can you implement the policy to allow that?
So in the orb currently, it's two separate checks. So one is to check whether you have the branch, on the branch name you have the ticket, and the other one is whether you have in the pull request title. The orb does not support an OR function, but in the tree itself you can do an OR function. I guess maybe we could add that to the orb. I need to check that.
Cool, cool. So it's good to know. It sounds like that orb is still getting new features. It's not just done, right? So it's going to continue to improve as time goes on. And also, so do users need to pay Datree to use this orb?
No, definitely not. This is an open source orb. Anyone can use it. Anyone can benefit from it. Anyone can contribute to it. This is just such a popular use case, and everyone that we need, like, we said, okay, we have to do it because everyone's really want this, and it's like us giving a little bit to the community and giving them a taste of what they can have, and it's totally free.
Right, awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Shimon. Really appreciate that. And yeah, really appreciate, and thanks to you and the rest of the team also for contributing this orb to the community, making it available, like enriching and empowering our developer community. At this point, we don't have any more questions. So now we can just kind of wrap up. I'd like to thank everyone for attending. And thank you again, Shimon. Thanks to the team at Datree. And just wishing you all a good afternoon. If you have any other follow-up questions, feel free to send them by email. Again, this material will be going out to everyone. And again, thank you all for joining and wishing you all a good day. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.